Hello, everybody, and welcome to one more class in our beautiful little secret garden. I wanted to give a special shout out to Marilia, one of our members, one of the beautiful flowers that we have here in this garden that was so kind and so generous to make that little intro for our classes. So thank you so much, Marilia. I want you guys, first of all, thank you guys for being so patient. We are going to get better each class as the time passes. I don't have, a proper studio. I'm in an Airbnb right now. So as soon as I move, I can have my office back. I can have my studio back. The quality of the classes are only going to improve, I promise. Okay? So today's class, we are going to work on a song, and I hear this a lot, like, oh my God, this song is so underrated, when in fact, everybody's talking about this song. But this song, I truly feel like it's underrated. I feel like people don't give it the credit that it deserves. This is a song that if you like metaphors, sit down, because Taylor served you up a plate and you are gonna dig in right now, because this song is what we call an extended metaphor. And an extended metaphor means that the metaphor is not gonna be just in one or two verses, but it's gonna run throughout the entire song. The entire theme and idea of the song is going to be, in this case, we're talking about the third song of the Torture Poets Department, My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, where Taylor, or the speaker of the song, is a toy, and the muse of the song is a boy that, of course, breaks this toy. And what is all this going to mean, right? This song, and I know I guess a lot of people don't really like this song, like they didn't really connect to it, but I feel like this is a great song for us to understand the dynamics of certain relationships, recognize who we are in the story, if we are anyone, or understand maybe a friend of ours or a partner that we've had has been either one of these characters. And then we can actually, bring this story to life. And like I always do in every class, say, okay, what can this song teach me? And how can I use it in my life as a lesson, right? As a warning. Or just a way for me to kind of, self-direct, right? So this song, I like to joke, and this is the song for anyone who has fallen in love with Sid. Who remembers Sid from Toy Story, right? This is that crazy boy that used to break all the toys, and I always think about him whenever I picture this song. But anyway, let's get to it. And also, guys, let's not forget, if I'm not mistaken, this song was one of the first songs that Taylor sang as a surprise song when she got back from break. And she introduced the Torture Poets Department into the Eras Tour. So this song is of, I think, significance to Taylor, at least. Okay. Oh, here we go again, right? So right off the bat, we see that this is a recurrent issue, right? This is something that happens frequently in this relationship, right? And what happens? The voices in his head, okay? So here, the voices in his head kind of clues us in that there's some kind of mental health issue, right? It's an internal struggle, because the voices in his head means that there's nothing in the outside world, right, in the exterior, that should indicate why he is feeling or behaving this way, right? It's something that is internal and it's in his own head, all right? And what is the voices in his head telling him to do, right? He called the rain to end our days of wild, all right? So what does it mean to call the rain? This is very reminiscent to the rain dance, right, from Native Americans when they do a special dance, calling the rain to come. In this case, it would be in a positive connotation because they want the rain in order to water their crops, right, so that they have an abundant season. But in this case, calling the rain, so again, whenever somebody calls something, right, it's intentional, right? So here, rain is something that Taylor is a motif that Taylor loves to use in her music because rain is so symbolic and so versatile in terms of whether it's something positive or negative, right? In this case, it's going to be something negative because it's ending their days of wild, right? And wild, if we're going to stay here, and remember I said that this is an extended metaphor. So in every verse, there's going to be a little connection to youth, right? To playing with toys and children. And whenever we think about days of wild, this is very connected to our youth when we are young and wild and free. You can see this in the anthology in Robin, right? When she says wilder and lighter. We can see it in But Daddy, I Love Him, like my wild boy, our wild joy, right? Referring to their relationship. This reminds me a lot of Roaring Twenties, tossing pennies in the pool of the one. It's just represents this very young love where they're very carefree, right? It's very fun. And he's just putting an end to that, right? So remember when we were kids and we wanted to play outside, right? Whether if it was in our backyard or in the playground or at the beach, which is the worst, right? Or our family's, house that had a pool, and you were so excited to play, but then it started to rain, right? So then you couldn't play outside anymore and you had to stay inside, and inside is so boring. So this is what he's doing. It's like he's being very antagonistic and he is bringing about problems that don't exist. Like he's causing the problem, right? He's calling the rain to come. So why is he doing that, right? So here we are already getting a little clue, a little hint as to the, kind of headspace that this person is living in. And we're going to explore this a lot throughout the song, okay? The sickest army doll, right? Who is the sickest army doll, if not our girl, right? Who remembers this picture? I remembered it. I was like, I remember her wearing that army jacket, and I thought it was perfect. But here, sickest, I see that a lot of people are translating sickest as in the regular term, right, of the illness, somebody being sick and being ill, like the medical term. But sick in this case is actually slang. So whenever we say that something is sick or the sickest, we are talking about the coolest, the baddest, right? The most amazing, the most incredible army doll. But of course, Taylor never does something that is just that. So we can think, while she is the coolest army doll, she is a little sick. Okay, and we're going to see how that's going to connect with a line in the future. Okay, And now let's talk a little bit about the fact that she chose to be an army doll. So the army doll is a huge part of American culture, right? This is a staple in every children's bedroom. We have G.I. Joe and the female counterpart, G.I. Jane, okay? And they represent, right, the leader of the army. And the United States is the country with the largest military force in the world, right? So in order to maintain this military active and alive and strong and growing, they have to kind of start as very young, right? With this idea of that the army is good, the army is to be respected, it's something honorable, and we are part of this army as we play, right, with our toys ever since we are very young children. And war is a huge theme in Taylor's discography, right? She has not only a song called The Great War, but she has many other songs where she uses a lot of metaphors for war. But in particular, since the toy that she decided to be, being this army doll, reminds me, which is why I wanted to talk about the sickest army doll too, You're Losing Me, where she just said, and all I did was bleed as I tried to be the bravest soldier, right? This is how she fights for her relationships. She thinks of herself as a soldier, right? And all too well, I'm a soldier who's returning half her weight. In peace, right? I'd sit with you in the trenches. Like she will go to war with you. So this just shows, the type of commitment and dedication that she is willing to put into her relationships, right? How she's ready to fight for them, and she will fight till the end. Taking us to the mall, right? Where did he buy her? At the mall, of course. The mall where in Coney Island, she says, because we were like the mall before the internet. Or in August, meet me behind the mall, right? The mall used to be the cool place to be before the internet. The mall is another symbol of American culture, of a declining American culture, right? Because the mall really was something special, right? It was something, that place that you can go and find everything you need. And it was also a place to meet your friends and go on dates and have fun and shop. It was like such a symbol of status and wealth. And now it's just kind of declining like everything else in America. Which takes us to Rivulet's Descent, My Plastic Smile. And a rivulet is a very small stream. So think like a very tiny little river. Whenever you have a continuous flow of liquid. So here she's being very poetic, right? Calling her tears rivulets, right? So here she is crying. But she has what, right? A plastic smile, right? So she is a perfect doll. She always has this facade where pretending that everything is okay when in fact she is suffering inside, right? So she has here this contrast of crying and this beautiful, you imagine like a perfect plastic Barbie smile. And then she says, but you should have seen him when he first got me, right? So again, going back to when we were kids, because we act like we were never kids, but we were kids once, right? So try to go back. Remember when you were a child and you got that brand new toy you were begging your parents to buy for you, right? And you finally got it. And at first, it was that shiny new toy, right, that you loved. And then after a couple days or a few weeks or a month, right, you didn't care about that toy anymore. So she's saying you should have seen him when he first got me, right? So at the beginning of the relationship, he truly cherished her and loved her. And, was there present in the relationship, right? He was playing with her, giving her attention. He took care of her. But now,
My boy only breaks his favorite toys.
okay, so let's talk about this, okay? My boy only breaks his favorite toys, okay? So first, here, I think it's interesting the fact that she's calling the muse my boy. It's almost like a way to kind of infantilize him, right? She is almost giving him a little bit of credit and like saying that he is childlike. And again, it's almost like a way to kind of tilt the power scale as if like he is immature, he's a child, he's a little boy. But at the same time, she is the toy and he is playing with her, right? So it's almost as if she tried to take a little bit of the power back by calling him a boy. But in the end, it doesn't really work because regardless, the boy is the one in control of her as the toy. Now, the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what type of person breaks their favorite toys? Think about you when you were a child. Did you ever do this, right? Did you ever break one of your favorite toys? I will be 100% honest with you guys. In this, the moment that she released the song titles, when I saw this, My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, I saw myself because I totally was this type of child. I am this type of, I am the boy in this song, which is, I'll be honest and I will admit that to you guys. But I will tell you a quick little story. When I don't remember, I was very young. I was still in Brazil before I left to the United States. My mom, I was a fan of Xuxa. I loved Xuxa. And my mom got me a vinyl with all of her songs. I absolutely adored her music and I used to play it all the time and sing and dance and all that stuff. I don't know what happened. I don't remember what happened, but all I remember is that I was so angry. And I do remember that I was angry at my mom, right? So she probably didn't allow me to do something that I wanted to do. So this is such a vivid image that I have in my mind. I took the vinyl, I took it out of the cover and I literally split it in half like, you know, when you take your knees and you go like this, pa, and I just broke it in half. And now when I think about it, I was like, why? And I regretted it immediately after because I realized, okay, I'm the one who's going to suffer the consequences of this because now I don't have my favorite album anymore to listen to, right? That I treasured so much. And I do remember that the reason why I did that is because I wanted to punish my mom. Like, I wanted her to be upset and her to be angry because, you know, we weren't wealthy. My mom worked very hard to give me every little thing that I had and I didn't have much. That's why it was something that I treasured so much. So I knew that she would have been so disappointed and so upset. But of course, right, in the end, who hurts and who suffers is us. Okay, so I'm sharing. I want you guys, because I know I asked you guys very deep and very personal questions in the writing exercises and in my conversation classes too. But I want you to know that I do the same, okay? I will share with you guys my personal feelings and all these experiences that I've had, all right? So you are not alone. So again, let's talk about the type of person that does this, okay? Obviously, you know, if we're going to think about a child, right? I was a child at that time when that happened to me. You know, children are emotionally immature, right? So if something happens that we don't like, or something happens that we are not expecting, we don't have the mental capacity yet to really understand why that is. Like, why did that happen? Why is this not going according to plan, right? So that explains why we will go ahead and act irrationally, because we are not thinking things through. Okay, we're not thinking clearly as children, right? What happens is that we have emotionally immature adults, right? And a lot of adults don't practice, they don't learn emotional intelligence. And whenever something doesn't please them, they will lash out and they will go ahead and destroy whatever is in their path. Then we can talk about, people who self-sabotage, right? Some people have a very deep-seated belief that they are not worthy of love, right? They don't deserve love. So whenever they do receive love, it's almost like, oh my God, no, like there's something wrong here. So out of fear, right, out of, insecurity, they will go ahead and destroy whatever relationship that they had just to get it out of the way and them not have to deal with, the consequences and repercussions of being in a fully committed long-term relationship, okay? That those relationships always bring out our past, right? It brings out our traumas, because when you are dealing with somebody constantly 24/7 in a relationship, and you start to open up and you clash sometimes, which is normal, but it will trigger a lot of things inside of you. And some people will prefer just not to deal with it, which will lead us to this fear of intimacy, right? Of getting too close to somebody. Like, to a lot of people, this is perceived as dangerous. So they act like they use this as like a defense mechanism so that they feel like they can stay in control and they can still hold the power in the relationship if they just destroy it and, break up or create that distance between the two people. This will also tap into perfectionism, right? So a lot of perfectionists, and this is like, I know a lot of people think that being a perfectionist is like a quality, but guys, really, like, don't get it twisted, because there is no such thing as perfect, and perfectionism will only get in the way. And I suffer from this a lot too, because I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Like, you want everything to be so perfect, and if something is not exactly the way that you envisioned or wanted or planned, you just rip it all up and throw it away. Like, you don't even want it unless it's perfect, right? This is totally sick and twisted. So that is a lot of the times what happens, right? If you are going to be dealing with a whole human being, obviously they're not going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. And it's like this kind of gets in your nerves, and you just rather throw, everything up in the air and break up or whatever, instead of just learning to cope and to deal with it. Some people would break their toys because they just want attention, right? A lot of people suffer from neglect, and they would only get attention when they behave badly. And breaking their toys, they would get, some kind of sympathy, some kind of validation. They would get that attention that they crave so much. So this is a way to get like that rush of dopamine, or to get that attention that you are, seeking, which again, these are all very twisted, right? Issues that we all have parts of. So let's just put it into perspective, right? What makes someone break their favorite toy, right? And then what makes someone accept being in that relationship as well, right? Because there's always going to be a giver and a receiver, right, of the action. So does it fit too right? Right? How can something fit too right? Is that possible? Right? Stop and think about it. It fit too right. Like, there's something wrong with this idea, because if it fits, it just fits. There's no such thing as fitting too right. Oh, so this is an interesting concept I feel like a lot of people don't get. Whenever we use too before the adjective, it means that it's too much, that it has gone overboard, right? That it has passed the limit. So when something is very right, it's nice. But if it's too right, it's not nice. It's negative. Okay, so I want you to get that distinction. So it fit too right. Okay.
Puzzle pieces in the dead of night.
Connecting to, right? What fit? The puzzle pieces, right? Puzzle pieces in the dead of night. So again, it's like they were perfect for each other, right? A perfect fit. But when did they fit perfectly? In the dead of night. When is the dead of night? Think middle of the night, when literally like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., like where it's, in Brazil, you guys stay up all night, but think like North American. Until 2 a.m., people are out partying, but like by 3 a.m., everybody's mostly home, 4 a.m. And that's when it's like completely silent outside, completely dark. So it's almost, it kind of gives us that idea that they were good together when they were in private, like never out in public. So again, this is a little bit of a red flag, right? This is not somebody that was out in the open with her, owning her and being this perfect couple outside. It's just an idea that I get. It does, it's not the same idea, but it does remind me of The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, when she says, in public showed me off, then sank in stone oblivion. It's not the same because he's showing her off in public, but it's almost as if like there's kind of like a disconnect, right? In public is one thing, in private is another, right? So it gives this idea in both of these songs, even though it's different ideas. And should have known it was a matter of time, right? So anything that is a matter of time is something that is going to happen eventually, right? So here, it's almost as if she was given clues, right? There were things in the relationship that kind of showed her like, hey, like this is not, the best scenario, like what's happening here. There's some red flags, but it's almost as if she basically chose to ignore them. Okay, so should have known, right? The signs were there. This is not a surprise, but she kind of, turned a blind eye in this case. Okay. There was a litany of reasons why. So the word litany comes from a type of prayer where there's like a series of invocations and supplications by the leader, and then there's alternate responses from the congregation. So the way that we apply this word in our day-to-day lives is whenever there's like something like tedious or repetitive that we have to say or do. So here, right, she says there was a litany of reasons why. Like, so she can make an entire list of the reasons why, what? We could have.
Why we could have played for keeps this.
Okay. We could have played for keeps this time. Okay. So here we're going to have the expression to play for keeps. In staying in theme with the song, to play for keeps is an expression that comes when children used to play the game of marbles. Remember those little glass balls, that we play like this? So there was a version of the game where one of the kids could say, okay, I'm going to play for keeps now. And if they won that round, they would get to keep all the marbles to themselves. It made the stakes like real and very serious. To play for keeps is an expression that means that you are very serious and very committed to doing something. You have every intention to either win the game, make a project successful, or make a relationship work for the long term. She's saying that, everything was in their favor. Like they really could have made this work. Like this could have been a real, serious, good, fully committed relationship. Like this could have been the one. But she's what? She's just repeating herself. Like she keeps telling herself these things. And that begs the question, right? Was that actually true? or was it just in her mind, right, that this relationship was ideal and perfect and they, fit perfectly? This is the third song of the Torture Poets Department, and from the first two songs, we see that there's a lot of delusional behavior, there's a lot of hyperbole. So, this could be also the voices in her head. Put me back on my shelf, right? There probably isn't a worse fate to a toy than to be put back on the shelf, right? Because when it's on the shelf, it doesn't get played with, right? So what does the toy want? To be played with. Again, we can refer back to Toy Story. And also, being on the shelf kind of gives us the idea that the toy is just there for decoration, right? He's just using her to show off, which then takes me to that, right? In public showed me off, from The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. But it's no good anymore, right? It's no fun anymore. So now you're just gonna sit there and gather dust on the shelf, okay? But she says, this is the delusional part that I was talking about.
First, pull the string and I'll tell you that he runs because he loves me.
Right? But first, pull the string, right? What is this string that she's talking about? I don't know if you guys have these toys anymore, but back in the day, it was very common for us to have a doll with a string on their back. And when you pull it, they will say something, right? They have phrases, automatic phrases that they will just repeat every time you pull the string. And what is she saying, right? When she pulls the string, he runs because he loves me, right? So again, this is something that she is using to kind of explain or excuse his behavior. She's trying to say, no, the only reason why he's running, right, that he is breaking up with me is because actually he loves me, as if that's a good thing. This is going to bring us back to what kind of person does this, right? We talked a lot about all the different reasons why a person would break their favorite toys. Here, what kind of person, when they truly love somebody, why do they leave? Why do they run away, right? This is all rooted in, there's a theory called the attachment theory. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it in psychology. There are 4 types of attachment styles, and one of them is the avoidant attachment style. And a person that has this type of style, they are terrified of becoming dependent on their partner or having their partner become dependent on them. So at the first sign that they notice that they are becoming a little bit attached, they just break free and run away. So this will lead this type of person to never fully commit or invest themselves emotionally into a relationship, okay?
He loves me because you should have seen him when he first saw me.
And here again, right, this line, you should have seen him when he first saw me. It's reflecting the nostalgia from the past, the initial care that he had for her. But it is ironic because even though he was that way in the past, today we know what he is, what his current behavior is, and the fact that he's actually breaking that toy that he loved so much, right? He is ruining this relationship and breaking her heart. Go part by part. So just say when, I'd play again, right? So whenever we say just say when, right? You say when, so tomorrow, right now, right? In a month, whatever it is that you say, I'm there, right? She's saying, I'd play again. So she is ready to be with this person regardless of how sick they are, of how, all the issues that they have. She was in it. She was ready to be with this person and write it all out, right? He was my best friend. down at the Sandlot, right? So she really saw this person as her equal, as her best friend, as her twin. And she mentions here, down at the Sandlot. And Sandlot is immediately, when I heard the Sandlot, I was taken to the movie The Sandlot. That is a true American classic. If you haven't watched it, please do, because it does carry so much of the American values that we, hold true to ourselves in the United States, that Taylor has. It is a baseball movie, so that is a very American sport. Something very, very funny that I saw, I found this picture here. And if you guys remember from our other class, when she says to take the upper hand, and I gave you the example is when we go like this with the baseball bat. And look, I thought it was so funny just to remind you guys of that lesson. This is how we got the origin of that expression, right? When everybody goes like this and whoever reaches the top is the one that gets to go first. So here's proof that I wasn't lying. And something that's very interesting about this movie that, I was thinking about it is that the Sandlot, and the Sandlot is a vacant piece of land, a lot, where usually children played games or sports, okay? But the Sandlot in this movie was like the safe haven for the kids, right? When they were there, it's almost like they were protected from like the harsh realities of the world around them and everything that was happening, in the adult world that affected them. So it's a really, really great coming of age movie. It's a kids movie, but it's a lovely movie. Okay, let me know if you have watched it, or it's on Disney Plus. I recommend that you guys do watch it for the culture. Okay, and then she continues on here to say, I felt more when we played pretend, right? So again, to play pretend is when you play make-believe, right? When it's not real life. So she's saying, even though they were playing pretend, like she knew their relationship wasn't real, or that it was, she knew it wasn't gonna last. But that moment in time, that experience that they had for her was more than she had ever experienced with all of the Kens, right? So she's bringing back "You're Losing Me Again" when she says, I used to switch out these Kens, I would just ghost, right? So before, she was playing with these Kens, right? And if you think about a Ken is like especially with Barbie, whoever watched Barbie, Ken is just like a generalized doll, right? It kind of has no personality, no purpose, it's just there. So she's saying that everybody else was the same, right? He was different. Like the muse of this song, he is different. She's gonna say why. Because he took me out my box, right? So we can think here in the metaphor like he took the toy out of the box, and we can go back to Toy Story 2, right? If you remember that, the collection of toys, how miserable they were because they never got to played. They never got played with, right? They were just they were just a collection, right? They were something that was valuable, but they didn't get to play, right? They didn't get to do what they wanted, what they were made for in reality. And he did this for her, right? This muse in this song. He took her out of her box. And whenever we take somebody out of their box, what are we doing, right? Whenever we say, okay, think outside of the box, right? This is when we do something different, right? We try new things, we have new experiences, and these are things that she probably wouldn't have done otherwise with anybody else, right? He is the one that kind of got her to do those things. So this was really, really special for her. stole my tortured heart, right? So here, and I love whenever she mentions the album's title in another song that's not the title track, because it just kind of links it back, right? This is why I feel like this is an important song to Taylor. But here she's admitting that she had a tortured heart. Her heart was tortured. And, when are we tortured? When we are not whole, right? When we don't have, it's like she was never in a relationship where she felt whole in the relationship. There was always something missing. Like it was never perfect. It was never a perfect fit, right? Because either she loved the guy too much and he didn't like her enough, or she had to hide, or, she was too young, or there was always a problem. So he stole her tortured heart, right? He conquered her heart. He took her heart, because she fell deeply in love with him, okay? But why did he steal her heart, right? This is kind of a clue too, that this guy is not honest, right? He's a thief, because what did he do with her heart?
Left all these broken
Right? Left all these broken parts, right? So he broke her heart. Her heart was already tortured, and he went ahead and just finished it and broke it into little pieces. And he left, right? He abandoned her. And then the worst part of all, which is how she ends the song, is that he tries to be
told me I'm better.
He tried to be the hero of the story, right? He told me I'm better off, right? To be better off is an expression that says you are going to be in a better situation, in a better condition if I leave, right? So here he's saying, I am not good for you, right? I'm only going to make you suffer. So I'm going to leave you, okay? You are better off alone. You're better off without me. And this shows that he's some kind of, great guy. He's like a martyr. When in fact, he's just a jerk that didn't take any accountability for his actions, right? He's not trying to grow, evolve, mature, change. He's not trying to actually be good for her, right? He's just running away. He is leaving. And sadly, it's with, but I'm not, right? She's not what? She's not better off without him. She's saying that she was actually better with him, right? Even if he was a jerk, even if he was imperfect, right? Again, like she is really a true soldier for love, because she will honor her vows, right? When she says, for richer, for poorer, right? For in health and in sickness. She is somebody that will be there for that person and will try to make it work. However, is she in the right state of mind? Like, is she thinking clearly, right? It does seem that she is a little bit delusional here in this song, and she's not seeing things clearly. And she's trying to, make excuses for this person. But who among us, right, hasn't done this before, right? Sometimes we are so desperately in love with somebody that all we see, and that is the power of love, right? You only see the good side of the person, right? You kind of ignore, or you kind of avoid looking at the sides that are a little shady or a little, broken. And here, that's what she's doing, right? She is accepting him in all that he is. And that's what she has been showing, right? In all of these songs, that she was prepared to, take this relationship head on and be with him all the way, which does make this even more devastating. So guys, that was my boy, only breaks his favorite toy. You see how this song was special, right? Tell me how you feel about it. Do you appreciate it a little bit more if you weren't necessarily a fan? I really want you to take this song for yourself, right? Look how much Taylor really loved this person and what his personal issues put her through, right? And how many of us accept that type of behavior and we excuse that type of behavior in our lives. And we see so many of our friends do this, right? But when we, instead of judging, we come from a perspective of understanding. When we realize why does this person act this way? Like, why do they do this, right? Everything was perfect. Like they could have played for keeps. Why did they have to ruin it, right? Why did they have to self-sabotage? And we do this every day. We do this with ourselves. We do this with our loved ones. We see everybody around us doing this. So when we kind of take a step back and we start to analyze, we go back to our childhood when we were kids and the types of behaviors that we witnessed, right? Our family dynamics, and the things that drove us to have these feelings that invalidate us, invalidate our own feelings, or makes us believe that we are not worthy or we are not deserving of love, so that we kind of, smash things up and break things up before they get a chance to break us, right? We are so scared of intimacy, of getting too close with somebody. We are scared of just getting our heart broken, basically, right? So we choose to do the breaking a lot of the times. So I do hope that, you do stop and reflect about these things. I'm going to give you lots of questions for you to respond and think about these things. Go back to your childhood. I did connect a lot with this message. I see myself as this boy. I do have a lot of issues, but I just hope that you guys have a different perspective now after this lesson. Next week will be our first live, so I can't wait. We are closing off our first month here in our Speak Now English with Taylor. Our little secret garden has over 350 flowers in it. So thank you guys for all your trust, your commitment, you investing in yourself and being here, studying English with something that you love and doing this for yourself, right? To see you grow and, feel in English, think in English, really take your English to that next level, not settling down for that intermediate limbo, or you're advanced but you don't really get to practice and really continue improving. So I'm so proud of each and every one that have joined and are here with us. Bring your questions from all of these songs that we worked on these past few weeks, and I will answer all of them. You will get to speak, share your thoughts and your opinions. And I can't wait to see you guys there. And I can't wait for our next class. Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus. That is one that a lot of people don't understand. So it's going to be so awesome to dissect that class with you guys. So until next time, I will see you. Bye, guys.